Hey guys, and welcome to Faewood. So if you've been watching me put this necklace together, you'll know that I'm nearly ready to actually construct it. I did have a little bit of beadwork that I wanted to do on it before I actually cut it out and put it together though. So I put some final touches on the beadwork. The majority of the beadwork was in the previous video, so if you haven't seen that, go and check that out. Plenty of bling to check out. I decided to do these little fringy parts, just thought they would look really nice in the lace, because I didn't really do any beadwork on these lace parts in the centre, except for that one pyrite bead. So I thought it'd be cool to add some little fringe gold accents on there, just a way to add a bit of beadwork, a bit of that gold colour as well, bringing that into the centre of the lace. Because it was really just, there was gold on the outskirts of the lace on this part, and I did want to bring that into the center a little bit. And then time to cut it all out. It's definitely worth getting a really good pair of embroidery scissors for this. Nice small sharp pair, make sure they're super sharp. As soon as they lose their sharpness, get a new pair. Okay guys, so this is where we are at with the necklace. If you've watched the last video, you will have seen me add all of this bling all the way across, and lots of crystals, lots of Swarovskis, some German glass cabochons that look like druzzies, an actual druzzy, pyrite, a whole combination of things in very antique-y bronze colours and amethyst colours, as well as that Silaman, I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, but the Swarovski colour that's like a purple opal colour and looks really lovely. So I've got that to sort of add a different colour of purple in there. Same sort of tone I think as the amethyst, but an opal version of it. And yeah, so now I've cut it out. I've also cut out this other piece as well. You will have seen me paint this earlier and probably wondered what on earth it was for, or maybe if you've done embroidery beadwork you've guessed. Although this isn't your standard sort of embroidery beadwork piece, I guess, but I did paint this with my Cadence, like Dora Cadence, what colour is this? It's a pinky purple one. Oh, this is Silaman as well. Ha ha, that's so funny. I didn't realise that was such a used term for a sort of purpley lavendery colour. But there you go. So you can see how it's come out when on top of the black. It's not perfectly opaque, but it's going to be covered with things anyway, so I'm not really worried about that. Now I thought I'd chat about where we're at, because we're at an important pivotal part of the necklace, and I'd like to tell you I'm moving into this part with full confidence of where this is going, but I am not. As is true of most of my necklaces, this is not the kind of thing you replicate. So, you know, usually when you go into a different sort of piece like this, it's unknown territory, and you just hope to God it friggin' comes together in some way that looks halfway decent, because otherwise it's a lot of work to put into something and a fuck ton of money for no reason. So having said that, I am happy with how it's looking so far. Now, the concept, if you've watched from the start, you'll know, is to create a necklace that has a Skeksis collar shape to it. And, you know, of course, I've spent a fair bit of time recreating the scepter head that's on the Skeksi Emperor's scepter, and it's that serpent eating the world type of thing, although my world is beads, which, let's be honest, it might be pretty accurate. And then it's got a Skeksi face in the center. I don't know if that's the Chamberlain. I was trying to compare the face to the different Skeksis to work out which one I thought it looked most like. And it's not exactly like the Chamberlain, but something about the beak shape on this one reminded me of that. Let me know if you think you know which Skeksi that is, because I wasn't entirely sure, but I don't think it really matters. It's super cool, and so I wanted the Skeksi face to be in the center. Now, this is, I don't know how this is going to look design-wise in the end, because this is going to be sort of a pendant, and as you can see, it's a bloody massive pendant. It could look a bit crazy. Then again, Skeksis are completely over the top, so if you're coming from a fandom point of view, then it's probably right on par with what they would probably wear. And like, I did notice the Skeksis wearing jewelry, and it is quite chunky jewelry. I would say it's probably not quite as chunky as this, but then they have their big you know, collar carapace things that they wear. So anyway, originally when I made this, I was sort of making this with the thought that this was going to sit up in the collar like this, right? And so when you looked front on, you'd see this. You know, the colour kind of matches the pendant, etc., etc. And it was actually my husband who was like, you know, if you do that, you're not going to see any of it because your head's going to be in the way. And I'm like, oh, it should be fine, should be fine. And then I kept sort of playing with it, and then I kept referring back to the Skeksis collars as well, and realising like the outside of the collars for the Skeksis do tend to be a metallic colour, you know, as if it's formed out of metal, and then the inside is like velvet, or it's like an Elizabethan rough collar type thing. So then I started thinking, oh, well, actually then maybe I should put it this way around, and then you will see it because it stands up. It's hard to show you from here, but like it does stand up. So it's going to sit over this neck cuff, because the neck cuff is going to help it stand up. And so what I'll be doing is attaching it, like gluing it and then sewing it and having another side to it obviously as well. So so you will see it because it stands up like that. So sort of like that. And the thing is, it works out perfectly because all the beadwork was really focused at the top of the necklace and on the sides as well. So yeah, so I'm going to try and really make it stand up quite tall so that you can see it. I'm thinking I might actually embed some wire into the top part here. So if I do want to adjust it so that it stands up even further, that it will. Then what's going to happen, this piece is of course going to go on the other side of the collar, if I can hold it somehow like that, to give it a backing. And there will be some lace going over the top of this as well. And I've just realised as I say this, I didn't account for these little stick out bits here, so I'm going to have to think about how I'm going to cover those, because I obviously didn't know I was going to do that when I did this backing piece, so that's something I'm going to have to work out. Now I've got lace and things which you've seen, again, if you've watched my videos from the start and seen some of the, I mean, this was a while ago to be fair, because in the middle I had to stop and do the goblin ball necklace. No, I didn't do a necklace for the goblin ball. I did the dragon costume for the goblin ball, and I had to stop and get that done in time. So anyway, I've got this sort of ruffle material, which I might layer up a little bit to add some oomph. I was playing around with this last night to work out how exactly I would do it, and I mean, it's something like this, I guess, like layered up just towards the back of the necklace, potentially to add, you know, some layers. What I was thinking though is I don't really want it to be full on black, so I do have these fabric paints. One's a purple. I haven't used this one yet, so I will be interested to see how that looks, and maybe sponging it onto the edges of the ruffles. Like, it doesn't have to be all coloured, it just needs some of that purple tone towards the parts that will be more visible. So one or other of those, or combined even, possibly. Then I have this lace material, which I would be sewing into a sort of Elizabethan style ruff, and pleating it. So sewing a nice big pleat line. It's too wide, so I will have to cut off the excess black netting at the bottom there to make it the right thickness. But then from there, it's pretty much the right size. So that will be the part that sits around the neck, closest to my neck, and then the beadwork you will see underneath the collar, and then at the front will be this. So that's going to be the concept. Now I'm going to start painting this lace, and I might do that before. I was trying to decide whether I sew this on first and then paint it, so I know where it's going to be, just so that I can work out how much paint I want, but I think it'd be a bit tricky to paint. So what I think I'm going to do is actually use a sponge, either a sponge or one of my larger brushes, so I can really use a dabbing motion to get the ends of this painted up. Maybe a brush, because I think a sponge might soak in too much of this paint, and I don't have, like, they're not big bottles of paint obviously, so I might use just a big brush and stipple, and then once that's dry I can set it and attach it and go from there. So that's where we're at so far. Well, it took a few coats for this purple paint to really show up, but I was happy with it in the end. Stay tuned for the next video where we do the final construction of the necklace and you'll see the final product. Subscribe if you want to catch that, and I'll see the rest of you next time in Faewood. Bye guys!